If you've been watching our channel, you might have known that this was coming, but today we're going to tell you about the actual production version of an amp from a guitar company that's not calling it after itself. We'll tell you all about it, so stick around. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name's Chris McKee.
I'm Cooper Greenberg.
We're here with Alamo Music in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, turn on notifications. If you want to be notified about new videos, make sure you hit that bell icon. And if you want to support the channel, visit our spring store link below in the description for custom swag. And you can also go to our website and buy stuff like this new amp from not Taylor Guitars, but from Taylor Guitars. It's called the Circa 74 amp. We're going to get into the name and kind of what's going on. But if you've been watching this channel for any period of time, you might have already seen something like this because we had an opportunity at the Custom Catch event at the last NAMM show to purchase a guitar that came with the amp. That guitar, by the way, is still available with the amp. And that was a really cool, very kind of limited version that was done in ebony, which is really nice. This one is done in mahogany, which is also very nice.
The Hog.
The Hog amp. So you've already kind of seen and maybe heard that. We're going to deep dive into what's going on with this amp because it is new. They are putting it out. It's available for purchase on our website as you are watching this. And it's a Taylor amp that's not called a Taylor amp.
Yeah. And I think, when we first saw the first one, we were like, so what's the standard release going to look like? And they're like, yeah. And then we went to the Taylor factory and we were doing the primetime episode, which is out. If you haven't seen it, we had a good time. And right behind the curtain where we were filming, there was like 150 of these. I was like, so they're coming.
I wrote my name in one of them. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so they're very cool amps. We'll get into the specifics of what's going on with this. Here's what you need to know right off the bat. It is an acoustic amp. It is a full range, flat response Class D amplifier. And it's not called Taylor because this is made to be an acoustic amp for whatever guitar you play. And so they've gone with the nomenclature of Circa 74, which I think is cool. It's when they started, going back to 1974. So back in the 1900s, as like my kids like to tell me.
The mid to late 1900s, too.
That sounds surreal. It's very cool, and yeah, in this production version, it's in beautiful mahogany. So you want to get into the specs?
Yeah, so it's an amp, so you plug it in, and it makes sound.
There you go.
There are two channels here, two inputs. One is an XLR or 1/4 inch, so you can do either. The other one is just a 1/4 inch, so you can run vocals to this at the same time as your guitar. Each channel has 3-band EQ, its own channel volume, and reverb, and then you got master volume over here, headphone input, auxiliary input, and Bluetooth.
And Bluetooth, yep. Very cool.
What else do you need? Yeah.
So it's a Class D amp, which means it's solid state. It's going to be lighter than going tube. Most acoustic amps typically are solid state because most PAs are solid state. And you can push a lot of wattage at a lighter weight, have this beautiful cabinet, and get kind of that perfect transparency that you want for an acoustic instrument. Interestingly, for me on this, they've decided to go with a 10-inch speaker that is a single full range speaker. A lot of other amps on the market would go with maybe a pair of full range speakers or different offset ones to handle different frequencies. This is more akin to what you might find in like audiophile bookshelf amps, but done in a bigger size.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out why they made the decisions on this, I can tell you there was a lot of R&D behind the scenes. There was a lot of trying this out with a variety of about every acoustic pickup on the market. So this is not just for the ES1 or the ES2 or your Taylor guitar. You can plug anything into this and it's got this broad ranging graphic EQ or multi-band EQ where you can really dial in the settings and get a really nice sound out of it. To replicate that in something like a tube variety would have been an extremely heavy, power-hungry amplifier.
Yeah.
So that's very cool. And they've given you the nice features like Bluetooth. By the way, if you ever run Bluetooth on an amp, do you ever do this? I do it with my Mustang Micro all the time.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So you've got your amp volume settings. Your Bluetooth setting is not going to be on the amp. It's going to be on your phone or whatever device you're streaming from. But you can dial that in. You've got your independent reverb on each channel and get a really nice sound out of this at 150 watts. So it's a lot of power.
Yeah, can definitely get loud. It sounds very clean. And the thing is, so Chris did a video a while ago about how to control your ES2 because it's probably the most misunderstood pickup. It's also probably the most prolific now acoustic guitar pickup, I'd probably say. So the ES2, it's got its own thing. And I, of course, I demoed this through, with a Taylor today, but you have your controls for EQ over there with just your bass treble, and then you can, tailor the mid-range from there, kind of. But then you do have 3-band EQ here. It gives you a lot of options, and so my first thought was, hey, I've already got EQ on the guitar, but like Chris said, if you got a K&K, something with no controls, if you got a LR Baggs VTC or an Anthem or, any kind of Fishman stuff, every single pickup and preamp system has its own thing. This, at least, you can dial that in how you want and just go straight up on here, or combine them, do whatever you want. So you do have a lot of options. Direct out and line out as well. So
so let's talk about that too. So you've got either a 1/4-inch line out or you've got a balanced XLR line out. It's a mixed line out that you're getting out of the amp rather than an independent line out. And we'll listen to it, and then I kind of want to talk about where this sits in the market as far as what else is available and what I think most people will be doing with this. It's interesting too how they decided to do the 2 channels, because you've got a balanced input on channel 1, XLR or 1/4-inch connection, and then only a 1/4-inch on channel 2. And what that tells you is that it really is designed to handle 2 acoustic instruments or an instrument with vocal, and that vocal is going into channel 1, which I think it's pretty common. It's a nice setup to have, and with a speaker setup like this, and the cabinet getting into the mix too, it's pretty. It shouldn't be not said. It should, that's going to make a change into how the amp sounds itself. People will debate this, but yeah, if you have a solid wood cabinet on your amp, it's going to change how it sounds. So should we take a listen?
let's take a listen.
So there you have the new Mahogany cabinet Circa 74 acoustic amp with the acoustic stylings of Cooper Greenberg. So
and the Alamo exclusive K24.
And the Alamo Music exclusive K24ce. So this is technically the model AV150-10, which is interesting because maybe that implies there will be others. I don't know. I have no inside knowledge whatsoever. But some things about the amp. So you might notice as Cooper grabbed it, he just did it from this height. It's not floating in midair. You do get a really nice table for it.
Yeah, and you probably saw it in the demo. The stand is very nice. And the stand comes with every amp. You don't have to buy that separate,
right.
Which they put a case with every guitar, put a stand with every amp. I mean,
you also get a cover for it, and you get this really nice, did I mention, mahogany cabinet, wood leather handle, and this nice fabric screen
grill thing. Yeah,
grill.
So it is definitely by far no competition the best looking acoustic amp probably on the market. Definitely the best looking one that we have, but luckily it's not style over substance. It sounds fantastic. I mean, it sounds within the same realm as the nicer acoustic amps that we carry. I think for me, it's a little bit overkill with some of the acoustic amps that we have that have a bunch of effects and all that stuff. You know, I don't love onboard effects on my guitar amps, besides reverb, maybe vibrato, you know, so I really like that they kept it simple, EQ, volume, and reverb, and they did all the things very well. But we were just talking about pricing. It's now also probably the most expensive acoustic amp that we have, while not being too crazy.
Yeah, so let's talk about its pricing and its feature set in line with what else is going on in the market. So it's $11.99 currently, okay? So price is subject to change. Your mileage may vary. Check out alamomusic.com for the latest information. But as it's coming out right now, $11.99. That puts it just above, I think, its closest competitor in acoustic guitar amps in the mainstream market, which I would argue is the Fishman Loudbox Performer amp. And they are very similar, but also very different in feature specs. So if you're comparing and taking notes at home, the Loudbox Performer, great amp, great platform from Fishman. It's been around for a good long time now, and it has a lot of the things that this has, like Bluetooth. It's got the onboard effects, like you've mentioned. Some people are going to love that. Some people are you know, just going to turn it off. Yeah. I've always found it's kind of weird the way they do that because you can assign some effects to a different channel, but it's like you don't have the same effects on both channels. It's you know, kind of take your pick of what you want to use it for. That one's 180 watts compared to 150 watts. It's got a kickback stand. It's not a hardwood cabinet. Arguably, you might say it would gig better potentially. I've seen a lot come in with a lot of battle scars over the years. So I don't know, scratched wood versus torn Tolex. Which one do you want to pick?
Scratched wood.
Yeah. So, but I think that's a really great amp. Some other things too that are interesting when you look at the Performer, outside of the higher wattage, it's got 2 speakers, which again, as I mentioned, is typically the norm. You've got a 1x8 and 1x5 in order to get full range on there instead of a dedicated full range speaker. And you've got either a mixed DI out like the Circa 74, or you've got independent channel DI out, which I've rarely seen many people use, but there are reasons to do that depending upon your application. So you should kind of know that going in. If you do a mix here and you use the DI is putting to the board what mix you have on the amplifier versus you could have independent stuff. You also have tweeter adjustments specifically on the Fishman. And it's just under $1,000. Again, as of right now, your mileage may vary. Check our website for the latest pricing. But that's where that Performer is. So you've got about a $200 price difference. On this one, it really seems like they've gone ahead and like, we're not going to do effects. We're going to focus on hi-fi, the clarity of sound, that really high fidelity, and a really beautiful package. Would someone gig with this? Maybe. You definitely could. And if you did, here's 2 ways to do it. I think most people, if they gigged with this, would leave the stand at home and take this. And I think you should take the stand because there's a huge benefit to getting a speaker off the ground. You're going to have better bass response, and you're going to have just better sound because it's off the ground. That's why speakers go on stands usually. Yeah. So
and not to mention people's ears are
they're not down here. Yeah, no, they're up here. So no, all in all, I think it would look beautiful in my room right next to all of my other guitars. But I think it would be great to gig with. I think 150 watts.
Yeah, it gets loud. I mean, it was nowhere near dimed. I mean, the master, yeah, it could go probably 3 times louder than what I was demoing it on. There's not much out there in terms of amplifiers that could be just a nice piece of furniture.
So let's put in context. The other most common boutique style hardwood cabinet amp would be like a custom option boogie, right?
$5,000.
Like, yeah, like
$6,000.
that classic Bubinga with the wicker grill. Yeah, it's $4 or $5 to start.
And they're gorgeous.
Yeah.
But this, it kind of fits in with everything. It's giggable, would be beautiful just in your house for practice, for jamming with friends. But usually for me, I like the way my amps look. But if we have people over, my wife is like, maybe get your stuff out of the way and put it in a closet. You don't want a Hot Rod Deluxe hanging out like in the living room. That is like, that's the coolest thing in the living room now. So,
Well, and you can play tunes through it.
yeah.
You know, at full high fidelity, full range audio. I really like the inclusion of Bluetooth in a lot of amplifiers. You typically only see it in like lower priced kind of do-all digital amps or acoustic amps, you know, as well as PA systems. But I think it's a really nice thing both to increase the usage of this amplifier. It can be your living room kind of hi-fi, you know, stereo if you want it to be. But it's a really great practice tool because you can put things to play along with, you know, and really set that up. The thing we were talking about earlier with the pickups, I do want to emphasize. So understand, and if you haven't, go back and watch that video because I did it about the ES pickup system, but really it's applicable to all pickup systems and signal chains. You have gain stages, okay? And it's very important that you understand that. They spent a lot of time at Taylor ensuring that this could sound fantastic with every pickup on the market, but that also kind of requires you to know somewhat of what you're doing and how you're gain staging things. Anytime you plug in anything, if it sounds brittle and harsh immediately, there's something before the amp that's just providing a little too much input gain.
What I like doing is when I'm playing a Taylor, turn everything all the way up and then make sure the channel volume is really low and the master volume super low, and just, I mean, get the garage rock sound, you know, get it really pushed.
I would recommend 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I would EQ this at 12 o'clock with the volume low and bring it up and then EQ from there. So.
Yeah. So for instance, we got the K24. It's an Alco guitar. It's going to have its own kind of compression and warmth and this really sweet, pretty sound. I like it. EQs over here were at 12 o'clock. And then, you know, volume. And there's reverb, probably about 4 out of 10, you know. But on the K24, you know, I did kind of my EQing over there, which was kind of treble back just a hair and bass up just a hair, just because that's what I like,
Mid-range
you know.
bump.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, everybody's ears are different, so at least over here, whatever you have the ability to kind of, you know, rein in the tone that you want. I think everybody likes to EQ their ES2 different too, because people have different age of ears and want to hear different frequencies, but got a lot of control. And everything, I mean, it sounded good as soon as I plugged it in, and it was just kind of little tweaks here and there.
Yeah. So if you're in the market for an acoustic guitar amp for whatever guitar you play, and you've been wanting something that really can fit in with nice craftsman style furniture, provide you with fantastic hi-fi audio, and give you a bunch of bells and whistles that are focused on the task at hand, I think this is a really good option. And I think they've priced it well according to what else is out there. So if they want more information on it, I mentioned it before, but where can they go?
Want to go to alamomusic.com. And I will say, we've filled out the amp section a little bit more. We got new amp here. We got another new amp elsewhere. But we got Bad Cats, we got Fishman, we got Fender, we've got sometimes Vox, sometimes whatever. We got a Rivera. We even have
a really nice Rivera Sedona Light if you're wanting a heavy tube 2-channel.
We like amps. We're not just guitar guys. We're amp guys too. So yeah, we got some cool options. And like Chris said, if you like the sound of this, you want it in ebony, talk to us about that as well.
Yeah, cool. So check it out on our website. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications. If you want to be notified about the next channel, like our videos and comment below. Let us know what you think about this. Do you think it's a good idea? How Taylor's marketing this? How they're branding it? What would you like them to see come out with next? Either a different speaker size, a different wattage, smaller, larger, different feature parity, or a different wood like Koa or Blackwood or something.
Master grade Koa, tiny travel amp, clip on for a Taylor belt.
There you go,
vegan
for
leather.
busking.
Yeah, vegan leather belt. Now, I think for me, it's got to be the competitor to the little guys and make it affordable, but something cool that I can bring around and do wireless or whatever. I think that'd be tight, but that's a good start right there.
There you go. Cool. So let us know what you think in the comments, and we will see you next time.